Breaking immigration news on Biden's parole in place. DHS has just released the unpublished Federal Register notice. Here are the highlights. Number 1, if you have pending criminal convictions, you're not eligible for parole in place until after there's a final resolution. Number 2, if you have a pending or approved 601A waiver, these parole in place applications will be a priority for the U.S. government to adjudicate first. Number 3, if you have a domestic violence conviction, you are not eligible for parole in place. Number 4, if you have any felony convictions, you're not eligible for parole in place. Even if those are expunged, because expungement does not take away a criminal conviction for immigration purposes. Number 5, you cannot have a controlled substance conviction except for one conviction for possession or use of marijuana under 1 ounce. A drug paraphernalia conviction is a controlled substance conviction, and you're not eligible for parole in place. Number 6, you're not eligible for parole in place if you have an aggravated assault conviction, regardless of whether it's a felony or misdemeanor conviction. Also, there's a list of other crimes that I'm not going to set forth here that make you ineligible, regardless of whether you have a misdemeanor or felony conviction. Number 7, if you're granted parole in place, you'll be able to file for a work permit, and that work permit will be issued for 3 years. However, you're absolutely eligible to adjust status in the United States following parole in place, assuming you're still married to a U.S. citizen. And during that process, the application, you could file for a work permit along with the adjustment of status application. The only reason I see you would only file for the work permit following the parole in place is if you couldn't afford at this point to file for adjustment of status. So you would just file for the work permit, and then when you had enough money, you could file for adjustment of status. Number 8, and this is really exciting, whether the parent can file or not. The stepchildren can file now. So a stepchild is someone who is under 18 at the time of the marriage. The undocumented parent marries a U.S. citizen. So as long as they're under 18 at the time of the marriage and they're under 21 and unmarried now at the time of filing, they can file now. Now, they just need to show that they were physically present on June 17th, 2024. They don't need to show 10 years of physical presence, and they can file themselves if they're able to with all the pertinent documents showing everything that I just set forth. Number 9, you are not eligible if you have a felony DUI or DWI conviction. Number 10, if you have any criminal conviction record, you have a presumption that you're not eligible or not qualifying for parole in place. In that situation, you can still apply, but you have to overcome the rebuttable presumption. In other words, you have to let the government know why there are factors why you should be granted parole in place despite the criminal record. Number 11, if you're currently in removal proceedings or you were given voluntary departure or an order of removal from the immigration judge and you did not depart, so that means you have an unexecuted removal order, there's going to be a presumption that you should not be granted parole in place. The government then will consider all the reasons for why they should grant you parole in place, including the underlying reasons why you were put into removal proceedings, what your criminal record was, whether it was an order in absentia, whether you went through the process and, for example, you didn't get approved for 42B cancellation of removal, and you had many other factors. Number 12, as I previously explained, if you have been ordered removed from the United States and you've departed the United States, or you're removed at the border expeditiously and you re-enter the United States without permission, you are not permitted to file for parole in place. To wrap it up, the application is $580. That's per applicant, and you can file. There is no fee waiver, so everyone has to pay the fee. Like, share, and follow. I'm Gloria Cardenas, the Immigration Queen.